Morning everyone, welcome to Shine. This is our latest teaching video around parables that Jesus told about the kingdom, and today we're looking at the parable that is known as the parable of the talents, or the parable of the bags of gold in some versions of the NIV Bible. It's a story that I think is quite well known, so I'm not going to read it out, and we're not going to play a video of it today, but I am going to encourage you to go and read that yourselves. You can find it in Matthew chapter 25 verses 14 to 30. You may want to act it out and play different parts just to really get into the story. But to summarize, Jesus describes a man who is going away on a long journey, and he has three servants that he gives some gifts to, some bags of gold, asking them to look after them and to grow them while he's away on his long journey. He gives 5 bags to one man, 2 bags to another, and 1 bag to a third. And at the end of his long journey, he comes back, and the 2 servants that have had 5 bags and 2 bags have used those bags of gold, and they've invested it, and they've made that money work, and they have doubled the money that the rich man gave them. So 5 bags has become 10 bags, 2 bags has become 4 bags. But the guy who had just the 1 bag, he says that he was afraid of the master. He was afraid of this rich man and what he might do if he lost that money. And so instead of investing it, he buried it in the ground, and it did nothing for all that time while he was away. And when he came back, he gave just the 1 bag back to the master. And the master said, well, if you knew, or if you thought I was this shrewd businessman who would deal with you really harshly if you lost my money or did nothing with it, then why did you just bury it? Surely put it in a bank and at least gain the interest. But instead, you did nothing. And so this servant gets thrown out, and that 1 bag of gold gets given to the man who's already got 10 bags, because the master knows that if he gives it to him, that money will be made to work and will be made to grow. There are a few things probably to pick out of this story that I want to encourage us to think about. The first is that it says that the master gave these bags to the servants according to their abilities. So he didn't give them something that was beyond what they could do or manage. He gave them exactly what was right for them according to their abilities. So even the man who had 1 bag actually had the ability to do something with it. He just chose not to. Secondly, we're all given different amounts. All the 3 servants there are given different amounts of gold to do something with. And so in life, God gives us gifts to do stuff with, but he gives us each different gifts. We're each unique, and we cannot compare what we do with our gifts to what others do with theirs. So we don't need to look at somebody else and think, oh, they're doing so well, they're being really fruitful, I can see great things in their lives, they're being really good with that. We don't get to compare, because what God has given each of us is different. So don't get caught up in comparing and thinking either we're better than others or we're not as good as others, because actually God has given to us according to our ability, and we're to use what we've got. And then the third thing is that the third servant who just had the 1 bag, he didn't operate in faith and expectation that he could do something with that. He operated based in fear and a wrong belief about who the master was. So the master invites the other 2 servants who've done well to come and experience the joy of the Lord, is how it's described. He gives them promotions and says, you've done well, so I'm going to give you even more responsibility because I know that you can handle it. And this servant who operated in fear lost even the little thing that he'd been given. And so his belief about the master ended up being fulfilled, not because that's how the master was, but because that is what the servant's belief about him was. And what we believe so often ends up playing out in our reality and our experience. So I want to encourage us to have a right view of God. So trust him that he knows what he's doing when he's given us these gifts and abilities and talents and the gifts from heaven. He knows that he's given them to us because we have the ability to do something with them and to use them for his purposes. So let's not operate in fear, but operate in faith. The final thing I'd like to say is that actually in terms of what God has given us, it may not be bags of gold like in this story, but the point of it isn't about stewarding and looking after money. Well, it's about looking after everything that God gives us. And God calls each of us because each of us are unique and given different things. Each of us has a part to play in his purposes. If we do what we love and what we're good at, we'll find contentment. If we do what we love and what the world needs, then that could lead to compassion in our lives and seeing good for other people. If we do what we're good at and what the world needs, that looks like charity. But actually our calling in God is to find what we love, what we're good at, and what the world needs. And it's those things that God calls us to invest our time into. So maybe today or this week, you might want to consider some of those things. Okay, what is it you're good at? What do you love doing? And what is it that the world around us needs that we carry? Because when we find that, we find true purpose. And as we invest into that, that's where we will see the growth and multiplication. So I hope you're encouraged. Look out for the gifts that you uniquely have and where you can use them today and this week and for your life to come. As we do that, let's be expectant to see fruitfulness and the kingdom multiplied in and through our lives. God bless.